Imagine sitting on a plane, cruising high above the ocean when suddenly the aircraft disappears from radar. For the next 10 minutes, no one on the ground has any idea where you are or if you're even alive. This is not a movie plot. This really happened. It was December 28th, 2014. The holiday season was in full swing, and at Surabaya's Juanda International Airport in Indonesia, families gathered in excitement. Singapore was just a short hop away, a perfect vacation spot for the new year. Flight QZ8501 was scheduled to leave early in the morning. The Airbus A320, a reliable narrow-body jet, was parked at the gate, its cabin glowing under the terminal lights. On board were 162 people, 155 passengers, and 7 crew members. Among them were parents carrying sleepy children, newlyweds heading for a holiday, workers traveling home, and flight attendants preparing to greet everyone with smiles. In the cockpit sat Captain Irianto, a veteran with over 20,000 hours of flying experience, and First Officer Remy Plezel, a French pilot still early in his career but full of passion for flying. The passengers settled into their seats. Seat belts clicked, bags slid into the overhead bins, and the cabin slowly quieted down. Outside, raindrops dotted the windows, Indonesia's tropical weather showing its presence. At 5:35 a.m., the jet's engines roared to life, and the plane lifted gracefully into the dark skies. To those on board, it was just another flight, but to history, it would be remembered as one of aviation's most haunting tragedies. As the Airbus climbed, the passengers could see flashes of lightning flickering in the distance. Tropical storms in this region can be ferocious, towering thunderclouds reaching 40,000 feet into the sky. Inside the cockpit, the pilots studied their weather radar. Ahead of them stretched a massive line of storms. Captain Irianto requested permission from air traffic control to climb higher to 38,000 feet in hopes of skirting the storm tops. But the sky was crowded. Other aircraft were already cruising above, and controllers asked Z8501 to hold at its altitude of 32,000 feet. The pilots grew concerned. The storm clouds were too close for comfort. They began climbing anyway, perhaps hoping that once airborne, they could negotiate more flexibility with controllers. At first, the climb seemed routine, but soon the Airbus pitched upward at a dangerous rate, far steeper than a normal ascent. The engine strained as the jet climbed toward thinner air. Then, without warning, the blip representing flight QZ8501 disappeared from radar. The time was 6:17 a.m., barely 42 minutes after takeoff. Air traffic controllers tried frantically to raise the aircraft. No response, no distress call, nothing but static. Back in Singapore, families waiting in the arrival hall began to sense something was wrong. The arrival board showed delayed. Calls to passengers' phones rang endlessly. And then the dreaded words filled television screens across the region. AirAsia Flight QZ8501 missing. News of the disappearance spread instantly. It was only months after the disappearance of Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370, and the world feared another unsolved mystery in the skies. Search teams launched into action. Dozens of ships, helicopters, and planes scoured the Java Sea, but the weather fought back. Relentless rain, high winds, and rough waves slowed the hunt. Meanwhile, families gathered in waiting rooms, clinging to hope. Some prayed aloud, others stared silently at their phones. refusing to believe that the plane could simply vanish. For 2 agonizing days, there were no answers. On December 30th, the search teams finally spotted something. Pieces of red and white debris floating on the waves. It was the fuselage of QZ8501. Soon after, divers confirmed the devastating truth. The aircraft had crashed into the Java Sea. Rescue teams pulled wreckage, luggage, and heartbreakingly victims from the water. For the families, hope turned into grief. The missing were now confirmed lost. Once the wreckage was recovered, investigators began piecing together what had happened in the final minutes of the flight. The flight data recorders revealed the sequence. As the crew tried to avoid the storm, the plane climbed too steeply, almost 6,000 feet per minute, far beyond normal. The engines couldn't keep up. The aircraft lost airspeed, stalled, and began to fall. In a stall, the nose of the plane must be lowered to regain lift, but at high altitude, this is extremely difficult. The Airbus shuddered, alarms blared, and despite the pilot's desperate efforts, the plane never recovered. Within moments, it plunged into the sea. For investigators, the crash became a powerful lesson about weather, training, and decision making.